This video is sponsored by Normandy 1998, Ash, Christopher Mitchell, and 212th Trooper. Our story begins at the end of the Buu saga, during the fateful battle with Kid Buu. In an attempt to aid Goku and his allies, the Namekian Dragon Balls have been gathered and Purunga has been summoned. Like in canon, the same wishes are made: to restore the Earth, revive all the good people killed since the morning of the World Martial Arts Tournament, and restore Goku's energy. However, here is where we see a slight divergence in the timeline, as when weighing up those good enough to return to life, one name finds itself on the other side of the ledger: Dabura, King of the Demon Realm. The reason for this is quite simple, as drawing on a piece of filler from the Buu saga, when Dabura was killed by Majin Buu, King Yama decided to punish him by sending him to heaven, as he would likely enjoy hell too much, with it being here that he underwent a personality change, becoming kind-hearted and developing a newfound respect for love and natural beauty such as flowers. During this time, he also befriended Bulma, Chi-Chi, and Videl after their own deaths at Buu's hands, and even helped them search for Gohan, who they assumed had likewise perished, with this change in demeanor and selfless act being enough to qualify him as good. And so it is that as the dead rise on Earth, the Demon King is among them, finding himself all alone in the rocky wasteland where he died. However, he is not alone for long, as soon the voice of Vegeta fills his head, demanding everyone give Kakarot all the energy they have so he can defeat Buu, and offering Dabura is happy to make, as well his heart may have changed, his mind is not, his shrewd instincts telling him that abomination is too dangerous and unpredictable to be left alive. Due to his high power level, Dabura's energy goes a long way in helping this cause, though it is not until Mr. Satan makes his appeal that enough power is gained to finally put Kid Buu down for good and end this crisis. In the aftermath of this victory, the Z-Fighters assemble at Capsule Corp for a traditional celebration, though it seems they will have one unexpected guest, as having chatted with his new friends during their time in heaven, the Demon King knows Bulma's address, and so turns up on her doorstep, hoping this will allow him to speak to the others and begin making amends. Naturally, those who accompanied Shin to Babadi's ship aren't too thrilled to see him, assuming he is here to complete his master's sinister plan, though before Goku, Gohan, or Vegeta can blast him, their significant others all speak up, vouching for the pink-skinned monarch and recounting their adventure together. Truthfully, this is not enough to sway everyone, as Krillin is still terrified of the being who turned him to stone, and Vegeta suspects this might be part of the wizard's scheme. There was the one Dabura was trying to find, and someone with experience befriending good-hearted demons. Gohan is the first to step forward and shake his hand, stating that he appreciates the former villain looking out for Videl and his mother. Nodding stoutly, the king replies that it was an honor and a pleasure, before adopting an excited grin and declaring that Gohan really loves Videl, doesn't he? Having had enough of this from him during their time in Otherworld when he was grilling her about her feelings for Gohan, Videl blushingly tells Dabura to drop it, to which the horned man nods apologetically, stating that he did not mean to cause offense, he is just enamored by the power of love. Patting him heartily on the back, Goku tells him not to sweat it, since he had trouble figuring that stuff out at first too, having evidently forgiven all the Demon King's evil deeds, since if he's good enough for Purunga, he's good enough for him. Not to mention, due to being comparable in power to Perfect Cell, the Saiyan is eager to spar with him sometime, since they didn't get to have a match during the raid on the ship. Fortunately, Goku's seal of approval carries a lot of weight with the group, so that following this icebreaker, the King of the Demon Realm is welcomed openly into the party. To his surprise, he discovers that Majin Buu is also here, though as Videl is quick to explain, this is his good side, separate from the evil entity that Goku killed. And while he doesn't overly like that any part of Buu still exists, he is cogent and self-aware enough to recognize that considering his own past, he has no right to judge anyone else attempting to make a fresh start. Speaking of fresh starts, after some consideration, Dabura decides to make his here on Earth, as while he could return to the Demon Realm and reclaim his throne, he feels that first he must make up for all he did under Babadi's influence, and how better than to work with the heroes who defeated the evil warlock and inadvertently caused his reformation. To this end, he begins laying down roots, starting by using his magic materialization to create himself a palace worthy of a king. Deeming it appropriate, he chooses to build in the wasteland where Babadi's ship was hidden, the place where he died and was reborn, in order to serve as a reminder, though also because its climate and landscape is similar to certain parts of the Demon Realm, so it feels like home. It is here that he begins attempting to build a life for himself, often having his friends around for tea as his palace is at least as nice as Capsule Corp, as well as providing a wide open space where their Saiyan partners can go all out in their training. As arguably the fourth strongest Z-Fighter behind Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta, Dabura will at times join in on this, proving a decent challenge, as while he is not quite as strong as the Saiyans, his flame breath, needle-like ki barrage, and swordsmanship make him a different type of foe from what they're used to, while in turn he learns and grows with each spar, being observant enough to recognize their weakness, and intelligent enough to apply it to his own fighting. This also makes him a good training partner for Piccolo, who, feeling as though he has fallen too far down the totem pole, seeks out the bearded fighter, with them quickly finding they have much in common, as on top of their brains and strength, they're also both former demon kings who once followed the will of another, only to turn away from evil. Not to mention they both have a penchant for plunging necklines and white capes. However, this is not to say they are entirely the same, as while Piccolo tends towards stoicism, Dabura is far more bombastic, a trait the latter puts to good use as part of his new job as a wedding planner. While he does not strictly need to work, considering he can manifest anything he might require, it is something to occupy his time when his friends are busy, not to mention he has heard both Bulma and Chi-Chi complain about how their husbands are jobless bums, and he certainly does not wish to be considered a bum in their esteem. Thankfully, he quite enjoys his work, as it lets him explore his dual passions of love and flower arranging, and not only that, but he is remarkably good at it, since as previously mentioned, he has a natural flair for the dramatic, he is experienced directing staff and resolving conflicts from his time as Demon King, and after having served under the capricious and often spiteful Babidi for so long, he can handle anything his stressed out clients might throw at him, even if he is tempted to turn one or two of them to stone for calling his goatee stupid. And so it is that Dabura settles into his life on Earth, finding it on the whole quite pleasant, though a part of him does long for the next villain to emerge so he can begin making up for his past evil deeds. As it turns out, it will not be long before he gets his wish, with the next threat being one much closer to home than he might have expected, as deep in the demon realm, two figures replay the events of Buu's summoning, rampage, and subsequent defeat, those being the demon Goma and his ally Degasu, brother to the Supreme Kai. As they watch, the pair are left in awe at the power on display, especially when Dabura is so easily dispatched by Buu, with this causing the duo to erupt in mixed shock and glee, as while they had never expected their overlord to die, now the way is clear for Goma to seize the throne and declare himself Supreme Demon King. At least, that is what they think until Degasu's sister Dr. Orinsu reveals that Dabura is in fact alive and living on Earth alongside those do-gooders who destroyed Buu, so her brother and Goma should be careful, since he may be marshalling an army to come and reclaim his position. As she had hoped, this feeds Goma's paranoia, as while he has only had power for a few minutes, he is now unwilling to give it up, and so hastily makes some excuse about Dabura having deserted his post and betrayed the realm, so he and his allies must be dealt with before they can launch an invasion. Eager to help, Degasu suggests the Dragon Balls, though since they likely could not be used to wish for their enemies' deaths, Goma concludes he will instead use them to turn them into children, thus rendering them harmless, while also using the ball's magic to find the fabled evil third eye, an item of great and terrible power passed down the line of Demon Kings until it was lost during the days of Dabura's father Abura. To help with this sinister scheme, the pair also recruit the ancient Namekian Neva, though unsure if his loyalties lie with the old king, they choose not to mention that Dabura is among their targets as they clamber into their ship and begin their ascent towards the warp, all the while plugging their noses at the Namekian's awful stench. However, it is all worth it when they arrive at the lookout, as using his secret knowledge of the Dragon Balls, Neva is able to summon them from around the world and reactivate them, allowing Goma to call forth the Eternal Dragon. Unfortunately, as they aren't friends of Shenron, the Demon Realm party only get one wish, though in truth they only need one, with Goma declaring his desire to have those responsible for the defeat of Majin Buu and their friends turned into first graders, or infants if they are already children. Meanwhile, unaware of any of this, the Z Fighters are all gathered at Capsule Corp for Trunks' 9th birthday. Due to having been accepted as a member of the group by now, Dabura is present, with this even giving him a chance to make his first real amends, as spotting Kibito among the guests, he approaches him to apologize for blowing him up. Admittedly, this is somewhat marred by Shin yelping and almost falling off the balcony in his fright at seeing the Demon King coming towards him, but when Dabura pulls him back to his feet with a strong hand and helps dust him off, both Kais recognize his genuine reformation and accept the apology. From here, everyone continues to have a good time, eating, drinking, and in Goku and Vegeta's case sparring, with it seeming this will be one of the best parties the Dragon Team have had in a long time. That is, until Goma's wish takes effect. At once, everyone is overcome with a strange sensation of morphing as their bodies begin distorting and shrinking, with the commotion being enough that most are knocked off their feet and need a moment to recover. However, when they do, they are met by the shocking sight of their younger bodies, with Dabura being quite disheartened to have lost both his booming baritone voice and his masterfully sculpted goatee. Nonetheless, seeing no sense in wallowing, the group attempt to investigate, with Shin revealing that he sensed an evil presence a little while ago, though at the time he thought it was just Dabura's lingering malefic ki. Looking a little offended, the mini Demon King protests that it wasn't him, to which the Kai nods, stating that on second thought it was actually coming from the lookout. Deeming this all he needs to hear, Goku attempts to fly up there, though upon finding that he will need time to master his new smaller body, it falls to Kibito to Kai them all up there. Unfortunately, by this point it is already too late, as not only are Goma and his allies gone, but according to Mr. Popo, they took Dende. The only upside to this is the genie did manage to get the name of one of the kidnappers, Degasu, with this making Shin's blood run cold, as he reveals his connection to the other Kai and states that Dende is most likely in the demon realm. Surprisingly, this puts a smirk on Dabura's face, as he states that this is a stroke of luck, since that makes the kidnappers his subjects, so he will simply head there and order them to hand over Dende, though Shin is far less confident. saying that while he would like to believe it will be that easy, he can only assume the kidnappers must be both powerful and important to have earned his brother's loyalty. Letting some of that old ego and pride show, Dabura testily retorts that he is the supreme demon king, none are more important or powerful than him in his domain, something he recalls the Kai himself once said. However, in a blunt, pragmatic tone, Kibito states that this might have been the case when he left, though he was in Babidi's service for some time, so they should be prepared to face a whole new breed of powerful opponents, especially since, as Goku showed, there will be a learning curve with their smaller bodies. Huffing slightly as he crosses his arms, Dabura reluctantly nods to show his equal understanding and displeasure, with this seemingly ending the bickering, and allowing the two Kais to focus on more practical responses, namely retrieving the ship Shin used to come to this universe, and the one they will need to travel in if they wish to reach the Demon Realm. Unfortunately, due to being old and long out of commission, it will need some repairs before it is operational, with Bulma estimating that she can get up and running in 10 days. Thankfully, this gives the Z-Fighters a chance to grow accustomed to their new forms, with Dabura joining Goku, Piccolo, and Vegeta as they like to stay on the lookout and train, with the irony of a Demon King taking up residence in the home of God not being lost on him. Nonetheless, thanks to having the other three as training partners, he is able to fly and fight again within 2 days, with his presence having also helped the others, especially Goku, to get more out of this training than in canon. Specifically, in an attempt to compensate for his loss of reach, Dabura had begun to rely more on his sword to make up the difference, with this inspiring Goku to retrieve his power pole on the first day of training, and thus re-establish that old muscle memory quicker. However, this is about as much training as the Z-Fighters are likely to get, as just when they're sitting down for dinner on the second evening, a ship similar to Shin's appears from out of the night sky. Recognizing this is a Demon Realm plane, Dabura tells the others to be ready, but when the craft touches down in the lookout and the pilot steps out, he states that he comes in peace, and introduces himself as Glorio, before claiming that he is here on a mission to retrieve both Goku and Dabura so they may help defeat King Goma. Bristling at the idea of some usurper trying to steal his throne, Dabura does not hesitate, growling that he will come, while on either side of him Goku grins that he'll help too, and Shin sighs that he should also join them as his brother is part of this scheme. Fortunately, due to having been assigned to bring 2 guests, Glorio had been furnished with a slightly larger plane, this one seating 4 people, so that this is not an issue. However, it does mean Bulma, Piccolo, and Vegeta will not be able to join them, and will need to stick to their original plan of 10 days, or perhaps slightly less now that Bulma has examined Glorio's craft. Even so, none of the Z-Fighters who must stay behind are overly happy about this, though recognizing the trio of Goku, Shin, and Dabura are probably their best choices for the vanguard, they do not object, promising to see them soon, and urging them to be on guard once they arrive, as they never know where enemies may appear. Understanding the true meaning of these words, Dabura vows in his kingly honor that he will look after his companions until the day they are all reunited. Then with a pompous sweep of his cape, he joins Goku, Shin, and Glorio in the plane as they take flight, and set course for the Demon Realm. And that's where we'll leave things for now. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts, suggestions, or screams of rage in the comments below.